options. I mean, my personal opinion at the moment is that the subscription model for social is probably not something that would work. I think there's enough options out there that people aren't going to be doing that. But at the same time, you know, what I think is interesting is this concept of people organizing around interests and passions. You know, Damien and I both had talked about this. So it really depends on what social networks are actually offering the users. I think, you know, if there is enough value coming back to a person, and people are willing to pay for it. But I think the lessons that we've learned from kind of the content publishing side of the internet and how they tried a lot of different business models, and in the end, most places wound up being free, that I think a similar trend will happen with social.
Okay, and I think LinkedIn, you mentioned, it's interesting that you went straight from RC and then right to LinkedIn, I guess, from a professional corporate point of view, because they do offer that. And it's great because for a small amount of content, it's just an unintentional plug, but you can go about your business quite secretly in itself. On LinkedIn, which goes back to the earlier discussion about different levels of openness and the connectivity. Question from the floor. New edge rank means Facebook reach has gone down drastically for pages. Should brands move away from Facebook?
Okay, well, let me answer that one. So, no, but I feel for that question because, I mean, if you look at it, the number I think off the top of my head is that your new, any kind of page post reads around about 16% of your overall kind of Facebook fans. So, you know, if you do kind of 3 or 4 kind of posts a day, you know, 16% of people are going to see it. But I think the fundamental problem is how you're using Facebook, as I was saying before. We kind of basically vomit out information to people on those pages. I don't care about your product updates. I don't care about your latest and greatest. So, you know, I like a page. My kind of interaction with that page might be that I really like that competition 3 years ago, or maybe I just bought a product 18 months ago and I like that page, or maybe there was some reason I like the page. But you know what? That doesn't give that brand the right to continue to kind of put things out to me every day in almost like a spammy fashion. But if you flip that around and actually made it relevant around those passion points, if it was like, say, photography and I bought a camera, I would love to have the information out there, but I wouldn't need to put it into my content feed. That it would be so compelling that I would be going to that page myself, or that community myself. So I think the model of Facebook is not 100% right at the moment. And if you continue to do what you're doing, I'd say, yeah, absolutely, I'd move away from Facebook because EdgeRank is not helping you do that marketing message out to a fairly unresponsive audience. But if it's about passion points and creating communities that make sense to people, absolutely, continue doing it because it makes so much sense.
And here's a question then, is the onus on the brand to get the right message out? Is the onus on then the user, the Facebook user, to continually cull your likes, the pages you like, the way sometimes people cull their friends lists?
Yeah.
You know, should I then keep going back and say, oh yeah, I don't like that anymore. Got a Galaxy 3, don't like, you know, iPhone anymore. Then, you know, the responsibility of the user or the brand both?
Yeah. I think customers, it's a privilege for a brand to interact with a customer. It's not a right, they have a responsibility. So I think it's very much up to the brand to actually act responsibly in how they market to people. And it's no different from where we've been with telemarketing. Particularly people in the financial services and insurance are the worst category of this. I'm sure all of you guys are getting a kind of phone call from an insurance company every few days. I know if you certainly hit a certain database, suddenly you're getting these kind of cold calls all the time. Also, you're getting things like ADV in front of your text messages that come out every now and again. You know what? That's totally unsolicited. I've not opted into that. It's very frustrating. You don't want social media to go the same way. Just because you like something doesn't mean you've automatically subscribed to constant updates. So I think it's totally reliant on the brand to kind of get it right. But of course, you know, the consumer, the person actually kind of has to call through the list at some point. But they won't cull your brand if it's useful information coming out on a regular basis.
I mean, I think Google's philosophy is hopefully pretty clear. You know, we've built our entire company around advertising that is targeted and relevant and based on consumers' intent when they're searching, and that continues to be true within social. I completely agree that you know, marketing only works when people are open to the message. And you know, if I'm looking at pictures of my nephew, I don't necessarily want to be thinking about buying a new phone, but there's times when I really want a new phone and that ad would actually be useful. So I think it's a matter of matching the right ad at the right time.
Okay, a couple of questions. We have time for just 2 more. One over there.
Okay, this should be probably for Laura. What do you think of privacy? How does the world look like for anti-social? People get uncomfortable when friends know too much.
It's a funny question because I'm a very private person, and it's ironic that I wound up in this industry. But I think it's fitting to be at Google because I do care so much about this. You know, I want complete control over my information and how it goes out into the world. And I, of course, think that Google does a really good job of making that easy. That's not necessarily true of other sites. So I actually am the person who really figures out how information is shared. But to be honest, I think it's getting increasingly complicated. You know, different sites have different policies, different sites change their policies mid-use. So it's very hard to keep up on. I think I agree with kind of the spirit of your question.
We have time for one last question. Go over there. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ken Leka from Hakodo, Japan's second largest advertising agency. And my question is a little bit away from the marketing maybe, but about the future of the social media. I'd like to introduce two trends in Japan that could be interesting. One thing is that many Facebook users in Japan are now reluctant to write about something bad story about themselves, just only good story. And then some of them started getting tired of using Facebook only for writing about the good stories, and they cannot talk about their personal stuff much. And then some people started, there are some people called the NSN people. NS means like a non-social network people. So there are some kind of people like started stop using the Facebook because of these kind of reasons, just getting tired of it. What do you think about these kind of people? Maybe are different from other countries, but I'd like to hear the opinion of you guys.
So the closed and disconnected maybe. What are your thoughts?
Let me start with this one. So I think that one of the first challenges of using a platform like Facebook is that people feel a lot of pressure to add people they don't necessarily want in their private business or affairs. So, you know, if you're adding co-workers, for example, or potential employers, or people in a professional context, it's very difficult to put those very candid photos up there, or talk about your baby shots, or, you know, maybe have a whinge about your current employer, or the bad day you had. I can totally get that. So what I think is really important is to take back control. It's your information, it's you as an individual. You've got to make sure you cull the people out of that Facebook profile that you don't want to kind of have that negative information around. And also, I think get smart about what platforms you're using. If you have a blogging platform, or using Twitter, or using Google+, or using LinkedIn, start to kind of divert people over those platforms. I get a lot of co-workers who want to connect with me on Facebook, and I'm very clear. It's like, I'd love to connect with you, but LinkedIn is the best place for that. So if you don't mind, let's continue the conversation over there. Whereas I keep Facebook very much for friends, so people that, my rule is if I go out for a drink with them, I add them to Facebook. If I have an open, honest conversation with them, they're on my Facebook. So that's how I deal with that. You have to be very clear about how you segment each of your social networks. But the offline people, it doesn't mean you can't reach them. I mean, people don't like platforms. Some people just don't like technology. But that happens. There's always going to be a percentage of those people. I think the best way to reach them is very traditional word of mouth. You know, word of mouth has been around. It's the first form of marketing. It's the most effective form of marketing. And I would say people are very influenced by what their friends say, what their families say, ratings and reviews. If you can integrate reviews from professionals, reviews from family and friends into environments where they might be considering buying a product or might be influenced to actually take up a service, that could be a better way forward to engage those people. For us at Samsung, we're thinking about introducing ratings reviews into a retail store. So if you have a look at a store and you see a TV, and if you can see a real-time reviews of what people are saying on Twitter, what people, former customers have said about this product, or maybe they put a star rating of it, maybe 3 out of 5 stars, for example. That's the kind of way of reaching people who are not necessarily engaged in social networks, but you're still using social media content.
Laura, any last thoughts on that? I would just add, I mean, I think, we've seen already in this kind of short time that social media has been around, the rise and fall of a number of different networks. The whole Friendster story, the whole MySpace decline and rise. I mean, even within Google, we have another early network called Orchid, which was extremely popular and is now kind of coming together with what we're doing with Google+. So, I think over time we're going to see the ups and downs of a lot of different networks that are going to reflect the changing kind of needs of people who are online.
Great, but I think, what we should remember is stay online, give it a go. From everything you said, try it, have fun, live it, love it. That's the best way forward, I think. And our keynote is done. Thank you.